say it was politically motivated, I would say it'd be politics with a small p, which is the politics of the street, because you can sing about unemployment. Unemployment affects everybody. Black, white, rich, poor, middle class, working class, you know. It's not unique to one group of people. Mugging is not unique to one group of people. It can, you know, an old lady getting mugged, whether she be black, white, Chinese, is out of order, right? No matter who's done the mugging, right? So I don't think it was a politically motivated or politically run. I think certain elements of it got hijacked by political factions of both the right and left, and used for their own ends and discarded when they'd finished with it, as you could see would happen in the first place. But unfortunately, you know, a lot of people got hurt and a lot of reputations got ruined because of that. But and the totally biased press didn't exactly help to play any of that down or to give it any justice or any reality or any truth, which but supposedly journalism is supposed to represent both sides of the story. But maybe they didn't like the other side of the story. Doesn't sell newspapers, does it? Skinhead helps old lady across road.
We did a thing for ITV called TVI, and this was a turning point, I think. They said that they wanted to do a thing about sort of what was it, the crowd trouble, football, and that, you know. And so they said to us, what we do is, if you would invite a load of your mates into the bridge house, I got permission of Terry Motor to film with them. I think it was a Saturday afternoon or something.
Yeah, Saturday morning.
Yeah. So you got a load of young kids in there, school kids, being old mates, all sitting there having a jar up, you know what I mean? And they filmed
a couple of numbers.
So we went into an interview in the old pit, didn't we, like, with this bird.
Yeah, ring through a nose, you know what I mean? Typical lefty.
What do you think about the politics of it all? I mean, do you find that the Nazi element went, whoa, scrub? Yeah. No politics here, it's all children here, you know what I mean? Everyone's having a laugh.
Try again,
Let's try again. She kept forcing it. No, she said, end of, we're not here to talk about that. So she changed the track and talked about the music and the sort of football.
Then got onto the track again, yeah.
Right. And we thought we had it all sewn up. Well, and all of a sudden this thing screamed, this TVI. And they're panning him round like, you know, you see fucking Hodges there, you see Stephen Betts and
well, they said that we used our gigs as a recruitment for the British movement.
That was it. I said, these people, and you run past these couple of kids having a glass of beer, we're sort of doing a few jollies on stage, like a harsh recruitment ground for the British movement, a far-right Nazi organisation. It was like, we went, what? What's going on? Libelled us right then and there. So we went to our good old manager Tony Dalton, and he said, sew the fucking pants up. I'm like, oh no, you don't take on ITV. Oh no, lots of money.
I should have showed them.
Should have sewed the pants up.
Because that was bang out of
that probably contributed towards the old GLC ban, that probably it.
No doubt.
But that Southall thing, I mean, it was nothing. I mean, we lost a tour over that, to do that Power and the Glory album. We was about to go on tour about 15, 20 dates, and I had to pull the plug. We had that album coming out. There was, you know, with the promotion, there was HMV.
Yeah, that's right, with the link up.
Yeah, you know, doing poster campaigns in the, and they all pulled that out because of that. You know, so it was.
Remember after Southall, it went off right across the country.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you got top stuff and all that, didn't you? Like, you know what I mean?
Everything went.
Leads everywhere.
And we were sitting there thinking, what have you done?
Yeah.
You know, inadvertently, what have you done?
Because that killed us, it was like a dagger in the guts.
It was.
Like, you know, like that.
So the seeds. I mean, Gary didn't realise what he was doing there. And I have to say it, and he must know that now. He must know that that it was a big mistake. And that was the touch paper, like, you know, light and stand fucking 20 yards away, bang, off it went. We got tarred with a brush we were never held in the first place. And more so than anyone else. I mean, all these young, like, bands were...
The business, and they got away with it.
Yeah,
we took the flak for that.
Yeah, we took the flak for that because we were the figurehead. We was the biggest band there. And we got banged by the media, by everyone else, the councils. We got tarred with that brush when it was nothing to do with us. They could all creep by because they were sort of little bands. Yeah. And basically, that's what happened. We never really got over that, I don't think. And to this day, you rue it because it was nothing to do with us. Never, ever. And that fucking hurts. It does hurt.
In one of the Sunday papers, we was written down that we was the band playing when it happened. And I mean, we hadn't even been together for 3 years at that time, but it's all very negative, and it was a bit of a shock, really. Nobody expects that.
I really got a lot to say about it because we was just a fucking band, you know, in the fucking venue, really. I mean, after that, we never really did any interviews with like press and stuff.
Yeah, no, world or anything.
you know, like, I never had any personal interviews or anything like that. I left that to Hodges and the gang, you know what I mean? I'm not interested in that fucking crap. All I wanted to do was get out there and play. You know what I mean? It's just unfortunate.
That put the kibosh and all that for us.
That
We couldn't play
fucked us,
anywhere
really.
after that.
You know what I mean? You know, that's right.
It was all secret gigs. I mean, like, basically the GLC done to the result the same as what they done to the Stranglers and the Pistols. We couldn't play anywhere, you know, anywhere.
It seemed to
gig
be
we
more
done.
reinforced with us, though. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? That was the thing.
In fact, it was only the Guardian newspaper that gave the other side of the story, what actually happened at Southall.
Yeah.
You know, they gave our side of the story.
I mean, we got there, we set up, we sound checked, we played,
It was just a
and
gig
it went
to
off.
us.
You know, that's it. That's it.
You know, it was
You
just
know.
another gig. We played Hackney, we played Brixton, we played all over London, but, you know, it's just, I mean, I'd never even been to Southall.
The whole thing that happened that day, I mean, none of the bands wish now that we'd played there. But at the time, as regards the Foreskins, the last resort in the business, and I know I'm not speaking out of turn, is that as far as we were concerned, it was a show, and we were going to do a gig, and it's as simple as that. The big thing that sticks in my mind is the following day we was recording down the Old Kent Road, and we was recording Suburban Rebels for the Carry On Oi album, and the police came in and said, well, sorry boys, you got the blame. And we said, well, why? And they said, well, because you're skinheads. And they said, but did you see anybody roaming around in balaclavas? And we went, well, why? And they said, well, 'cause it was a totally political, hyped up riot. It was a big thing between the right wing and the left wing to actually basically, the riot was organised. But the bands knew nothing about it. I mean, if the bands had known anything about that, they would never have gone there. As far as we're concerned, you know, Southall's a part of London. I mean, okay, there's a large Asian community there, but I mean, none of the bands would worry about something like that. You know, they just think, well, we're just going to do a show, we're just going to play in a pub and enjoy ourselves, and everybody goes home happy. But it turned into a riot, and it's nothing that anybody's proud of. And we wish it had never happened as regards the bands, because it destroyed Oi for a long time, and people have had to work so hard to go through that, you know, also to get out of that scene, you know, and that might be a scenario that you've never heard before from the other guys. I don't know, but that's it really. I mean, I was there, and it was a very frightening evening for all concerned. You know, the Asian community, the skinheads, the police. Nobody wanted that, and it was whooped up by ultra extreme parties from both sides of the fence, and there's no two ways about it.
You know, I mean, that was supposed to be the first day of a Epoxy tour.
Yeah, we was
You
off
know
to
what I mean?
Manchester. We was going to
So
do a
much for the
14-day
Chaos tour of
yeah.
fucking 81.
was a
Yeah,
good giggle in the
good
beginning.
crack.
There was no pressure on anyone. You just get up there, take your instruments up, do a set. We even supported ourselves once, you know what I mean? Put bags over our head, called ourselves the Foreskins. However much Gal tries to present it as Foreskins was saying, that's how it started. We supported ourselves with one of our roadies, H. And his thought, oh, mine thought, oh, there's another one, you know, kept Foreskins. Got it, blinded, you know what I mean? Spokesman. And that's...
Is that true?
Yeah, that's the way it started, yeah.
Yeah, that's the way it started, yeah.
So the Foreskins were...
For us, yeah.
Yeah, it
But
was
back
on
in
Played
the
on
days,
and all,
yeah.
on your albums and that.
Yeah, on them all albums, we played all that stuff.
Yeah, the first one, right? And then they just went from there, didn't they?
Yeah,
like,
that's
you know?
it. He set up his own little thing, got his own little rock and roll gang, and on it went from there.
Right, yeah.
In the aftermath of Southall, the bands were blacklisted. Albums and bands continued to appear, but the momentum had been damaged. Very few gigs, even less press coverage, and absolutely no airplay. Some bands, such as Screwdriver, came out of the closet to reveal that they were in fact ultra-right-wing, and I was left to limp along for several years in the darkness. Sadly, by this point, many of the punters coming into the scene had believed the media and took a political stance. Bands become obsessed with bands' political views. Oi had fallen apart, a paradox of its potential. The band's hearts were there, but the fans were fighting themselves. Things ticked over slowly until the mid-80s when Laurie Pryor and Mark Brennan started Link Records and Roddy Marino started Oi Records. With a new outlet for the music, things looked like they could pick up, but in reality, it was pretty much past saving, with the kids hanging on bands' every words rather than trying to live their own lives.
It's something we believed in at the time. Well, I mean, our values still ain't changed. Same people inside, haven't we, you know?
Yeah, I mean, we wrote about ordinary working class things. Ordinary people we knew about, people who'd gone away for things. Miscarriages of justice. No one else ever wrote about that. I mean, that's what punk started out as, and then it all got prettied up by the sort of like the NME brigade, you know, and the posers.
Yeah. It's like me and Art, that Right Remain Silent. I did it on that 89 album.
Yeah.
Alright? Look at it there, it's fucking
The
come
criminal
in.
justice
And we
bill.
fucking foresee that.
That's
And I
right.
bet we don't get 1 ounce of fucking credit for it.
Fuck them and their manifestos and the past side's just having a good time. And, you know, we enjoy what we do, and that's what we do it for. You know, we don't do it for any other reason.
And free beer.
And free beer. And food.
That's what I
Because
mean.
in this game, you can't afford to fill the pantry up.
I just think it's going to take one band like it did before, like the Sex Pistols or someone, to just to kickstart it all again. I don't think it'll ever be, nothing ever stays the same, but I still think there's a future for guitar bands and playing live and the music business in general. But it definitely needs something new. I mean, it's good for us that, you know, that people are getting into the old stuff, but it definitely needs a kick up the arse again.
I've noticed one thing with lately over the last couple of years, they seem to be flirting with this laddish fucking image with the Oasis and the fucking Smash and these Animal Men. But
Where have they got them ideas from?
Yeah, you know, fucking Ice with Coco and all that, and they're flirting with it. But at the end of the day, they're not saying any old. They're just all that, like He-Man, drug culture. They're not saying anything in their lyrics, but they're flirting with the idea. Now you get some band that come along who starts really can have it. Starts staying a few. Say Oasis tomorrow started making like real strong lyrics and hard music. Well, you know, they would go ballistic because that's it. The time's fucking getting right for it. They're starting flirting with it. The image is right. The lads, blah blah blah, and you just need one group to come through. And so, I mean, like the Rejects and that. They could have a row, and do you know what I mean? They meant what they said, and they got backup and that sort of thing. You know, but it just, I think it could possibly happen. It could happen.
It's going to shake that one now, isn't it?
But at the end of the day, it comes back to the fucking idiots upstairs in those fucking little safe offices doing their stupid little fucking jobs. They ain't not going to let that happen. It'll have to happen through someone, you know, like Gary Bushell, who decides, fuck you lot, I'm a journalist, I'm going to fucking cause this scene whether you like it or not. And that's the only way it's going to happen.
The turn of the 90s saw a new crop of street bands. This, coupled with the rise of new record labels such as Hammer, Step One and Hell in a Void, has breathed a new lease of life into the music, if be it only on an obscure cult level. Bands have now had to turn their attention to Europe and the United States, where the ideals of Oi have spread. Indeed, Europe and the States are now producing some quality bands of their own, and no longer have to rely solely on UK exports to satisfy their thirst for working class rock and roll. This puts the British working class band in the same position as the British working class man.
Anyone in any sort of band, in any sort of music, is finding anywhere to play. There just doesn't seem to be the venues, and I don't know how they're attracting an audience now.
The trouble is, first and foremost, getting a gig. Period. I think if you're in any type of band now, unless you're going to be doing a rave playing dance music, or you're in a rock band playing the standard rock clubs in London, anything a little bit different, punk. We could be a punk band or an oi band. You've got very few venues to choose from. You know, the Roby often does gigs in Finsbury Park. That's one of few. The bigger places, it's going to be difficult to find a promoter with some money to pack it out. It's very rarely. Once a year you get a gig at Brixton Academy. Occasionally you might get a name band at the Astoria. It's like the smaller places like the Marquee. We could play somewhere like the Marquee, have a few hundred people in there. Great. There's no promoter that's prepared to do it. You know, and it's very difficult sometimes. We've tried to do everything ourselves, like, you know, fanzines. So you try to write articles for people so they can put it in. We've got to write the music, we've got to rehearse it, we've got to record it. It'd be nice to do it all ourselves, but bless you, but we can't do it. You know, so people might say, well, why are you moaning? Why don't you do it yourself? That's the whole attitude of Oi. You can't physically do everything yourself. We need other people. Other people have got different skills. Some people are good at writing. They've got a fresh way of writing. Start up a fanzine. I'm a musician. I'll play the music. Someone else, if you put me up on a stage, I'll play anywhere, anytime. There's no one in England that will put us on. You know what I mean? And if they do, it's all got. The only trouble we have had is if a promoter who we don't know wants to put us on, and it is an Oi gig, you always end up that it's got to be, you know, keep it quiet with the venue. Where the venue is, don't advertise it in Melody Maker or NME, and that's doing us no favours because you're preaching to the converted. I want to play Oi music, but not just to an Oi crowd, to everyone, because I think that there's a lot of people who listen to rock, punk, heavy metal that are missing out. I mean, it's one of the most exciting forms of music there's ever been, you know what I mean, and they're missing out. But you'll never get it across to them unless you can get mainstream media on your side, and that's when you encounter a problem with the Oi label, not necessarily booking gigs to the media.
So what do you want to drink? I can tell you the whole story.
venue the other night, and the toilets were leaking upstairs, and the dressing room was pissing through the fucking ceiling, right, on the floor, and this group, a big group, wading through piss on the fucking dressing room floor, right, and there's like a couple of sandwiches in the fucking corner, and they've got no beer.
Curled up
right,
sandwiches, no beer, no water.
Nothing.
No, nothing.
Right,
They're treated like shit.
And then they had to finish early, okay, so they could have a fucking disco after. And then I looked into this disco, and there was a fucking 100 morons sitting there listening to music, looking at the stage, as if something's going to fucking suddenly appear on stage. And I just thought, I just can't believe this fucking, what this fucking country's come to. It's just like stupid.
It is
it's
crazy.
really lost it.
It's
and we
crazy.
was the leaders, and I don't know whether some of the music press still think we're the leaders. We're not. They're going to wake their ideas up because we've been overtaken.
Never knew, and none of the English bands realised in those days how big Oi was in the States. It was suppressed by the record companies, particularly our original record company, Secret Records. I think Watty will vouch for that and various things, because he was told that, and we were told that nothing was kicking in the States, and it's a lot of old bollocks. It was kicking big time in the States, and the English band should have gone out there then and ruled the roost. And but we'll get that crown back.
Quiet jungle. It's the king of the jungle. Like a lion's pride. They won't turn away or stray to the other side. Even though they're few and far between, they stand by it no matter where you be. Warriors fight, the warriors fight. Warriors stands at the edge of the ground. The warriors run, the warriors cool. Even though it's backs against the wall, it's the king of the jungle. It's the king of the jungle. It's the king of the jungle. It's the king of the jungle.
Well, there's not so many quality new bands, and I'll define that by there was a time when it seemed any band who had like one rehearsal and half a gig and had one song were all of a sudden on an album. Before really they had the experience or the quality to justify going on that, and I think a lot of rubbish came to the fore. I think now though that you've got labels like Helen of Oy putting out the stuff on vinyl, new bands, not old groups, new bands like Another Man's Poison. This sort of stuff, which is good. There's some good quality stuff, but they've paid a bit of their dues first. You know, they've done a few crap gigs and built themselves up and discarded a few songs that they thought were half decent when you first start, and then they've learned how to play a bit better and structure the songs. And I think he's putting out at Helen of Oy and even at Hammer Records as well. He's doing one or two good new bands. So I think that's good, and I think that's really where they should come through.
What bands have got to do as well is respect the punter, and we do. We're renowned for respecting the people that come and watch us play, because they've paid the money to get in. They roll the roost, not the band. The band is doing a show and the band is getting paid for it. And if you go on with a half-hearted attitude on that stage, you're like, fuck you, I'm in a band, fucking this, that and the other. You don't deserve any respect whatsoever. It's like, I don't know, if you walked up to, just say you saw some film star out there and you walked up, just say you were 15, 16 years old, he went, can I have your autograph please? And the bloke went, no, I haven't got time. He's a cunt. Because he's not having respect for his people, and it's those people that have put you where you are. We don't earn a lot of money, believe me, but we have respect for everyone that follows the business.
One common denominator that links all these bands from the last 15 years or so is attitude. Try as they have, the mainstream music industry has tried to emulate the brashness and aggression of Oi, and although the majority of the public have swallowed, nothing in the last 10 years comes close to the raw power that the early Oi bands had. Hand-picked drama graduates pulling a mean face whilst cashing their 50 grand royalty checks don't constitute youth rebellion. But the public gets what the public wants, and of course, they only want what they get to hear. So what is Oi? A working class phenomenon that was snubbed out by the media before it could expose their corrupted money-making schemes? Or a myth created by die-hard fans who refuse to admit that they're getting old? That, of course, depends on who you ask.
Landed us in the fucking doghouse. It was always in the neck down to
Yeah,
that.
we could have made quite a lucrative living, right? Down
If
abroad,
we'd had someone
playing
who
these
played
shows,
it right,
if
yeah.
it hadn't have been for that shit, and I still do honestly believe that, because we were a working band and a progressive band, and we played music people wanted to hear. As I say, it was always the music, never none of this mythical fucking always shit, which we've already said we didn't understand, never will understand, like. And I think that stunted our growth, and stunted us making, not superstars or any of that shit, but stunted us making a reasonable
Making a
abroad.
living and getting our fair crack with what we put in.
That's
like,
right,
you know?
and I think that that was the direct obstacle. And no one can explain to me to this day what that is. I don't understand what that is.
I can't find anything because I was never into it anyway.
No.
You know what I mean?
It's a pile of shit, and it means nothing. It comes to nothing. What is it? One of life's great questions is that when I go up the pearly gates or down there, I'm going to go, what was I?
Yeah.
And some people look at me and go, I don't fucking know.
I personally haven't got a clue what a Illinois band is. And I'm playing one, apparently.
Every generation hangs on to its culture. You know, like you get the old Teddy boys, they're still into rock and roll, they go to the rock and roll gigs. You know, it's like what we was into, we're still into it. Because we was there, you know, it don't go away. I mean, there's people I know that have got married, and like, I am now myself, but people I know that have gone away from it. They still come back, you know, whenever there's a gig, like, oh, I remember that was great. You know, walk down memory lane. There always be a bit of nostalgia about it.
But, you know, no one should be under the illusions that it's ever going to take the airwaves by storm, because it won't. Because if it never done it in the early 80s, it certainly ain't going to do it now. Right, so I think if you're happy doing that, then it's still relevant to people. Because if people still turn up at gigs, and still pay their money for the rehearsal rooms, and still can be bothered to write the songs, then I think for them it's relevant. And, you know, damn good luck to them, I say. But I think my belief is as a mainstream thing, I don't think it's relevant, because at the end of the day, no one cared about us in the early 80s, and even less people care about us now. And I don't think that's ever going to change, sadly.
I mean, everyone keeps going on about this scene, but it really doesn't exist anymore. What's happening at the moment is a different version, probably original principles maybe, but it's come out in a different vein. You know, it's rearing its head in certain quarters around America, around Europe, but it'll never be the same. And people sort of reminisce about old times, you know, but those times will never happen again. You know, that was something special, and it should be left as that. You know, and people should move on into the future now.
Now's the time for a lot of bands to kick their arse in together, and street rock has to take its place in the music industry. I don't mean in this country, I mean worldwide. it has to take its rightful place because there's a good market for it.
I think the time's right for something there because it's become so bland, hasn't it? I think the old music business is back to a stage pre-punk, and it's all just got, it's all manufactured, and there's all these little Svengalis running around with their puppets. And the time is right. I mean, whether it will ever happen again, I don't know. I really do think that the thing about the new punk or the Oi movement was it was so real that it frightened the crap out of all of them, and I think it's going to take a long time. But I do really think there's time, there's a need for that, something to come along and excite things again, because it's all got very stale, isn't it?
How did we get involved in Oi?
No, originally we was involved
Excuse me,
in
can you
punk.
fuck off, please?
Yeah.
Cheers, mate.
Originally,
No, that's all right.
No,
You're
originally
you're
we
putting
was-
me off. I'm not being rude, you're just putting me off, you know what I mean?
originally we was involved in punk scene, which was happening around this area.
You start that question.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, it's a bit of strange footage for you.
It doesn't even sound good, does it?
It's really corny. If you like, it really is.
You know,
Like,
it's fucking, I don't know. Oi. Oi. Are you oi? I'm oi. You oi? Used to be. Oh, fuck's sake.
Ex-oi.
Ex-oi, I'm ex-oi, yeah. I'm ex-oi me. Nah.
Wish you another idea.
Ex-oi. Yeah. Finish, mate. And a Dr. Martin in sight. Moody Timberlands.
Yeah,
that's where
Snide
it's at.
Timberlands. Do you want a pair? 25 quid. Someone see you coming.
Fucking Roma Road Market for a score. Excellent. I used to be alright, but I'm alright now. Fucking hell. Oi, what a cunt.
I fucking lost the questions again.
Something to do with
Wait, where's your questions?
Oh,
Question.
oi, the questions, yeah. Oi, the camera,
Oi, the roadblock,
oi,
wasn't
the
it?
fucking seat, yeah.
Oi, the fucking airline, yeah.
Oh, fucking hell. It could have been another Richard Branson old gal, couldn't it? If it painted it, right? Fucking the sun would have been called Oi.
We got Summer Boy out.
Summer Boy, yeah. You know, you flying like I'm flying Oi.
Son of a
They
boy.
got in-flight entertainment and all, like, yeah. They got fucking Blitz playing, like, and fucking lounge band or something like the 747. Oi, the airline. Oi, the holiday. You know. Go to Bremen. Margate, yeah, or Bremen for a fight, if you want to go international, Oi.
Yeah. Fucking, yeah.
Go up there and match tattoos.
Helicopter to Margate.
Oi, peacekeeping folks, isn't it?
Oi, the peacekeeping folks, yeah. In boys now, yeah.
Okay, weirdos. Sing to Jesus.
Ich mag diese Sorte Musik nicht. Thank you.